Hey, good morning, guys. Today is the 16th of July, 2017. I'm going to be going over this week's trade ideas. Remember, these are just trade ideas, so the charts actually have to break out of areas that we're looking into or pull back to areas and hold that we're looking to take them on the long or the short side. First name on the list this week is Sqns. I do like the volume that came into the chart on Friday. Closed over the 50 EMA, which it haven't had done in a while. And we also have the chart coming up into an area for a possible breakout. So we're going to wait for this chart to either break out to the upside first before taking us on the long side. So ultimately, you need the candle to be over $3.82 in order to be long on Sqns. If we do get the push to the upside, the first targeted zone would be up to this $4.25 zone, where it's going to come into the head and shoulder pattern here. And so break over 382 would get you up into the 425 area, and then ultimately you would be looking for a break over this $4.75 for a bigger move to the upside. First piece, obviously, a chart needs to reverse. Number 2 on the list is Sprint. Huge volume came into the chart on Friday. I did have a nice little flag breakout set up on this one, so it was a nice alert. And a nice quick trade on Friday, but the chart didn't have the continuation that I needed for in order to keep it. So here we are with the chart coming up into a daily trend breakout. Obviously that initial volume got rejected by that daily trend and chart came back into it. Now that we're sitting into an area where it did retrace and we do have a daily chart that looks very bullish here off the 200 SMA, I do like this one for a bigger move to the upside. For right now though, in order to break over the daily chart, you need this break over this $8.76. So anything over $8.76 coming to Monday could be a nice long day trade for Sprint. And obviously if we can get the chart to clear some of these bigger areas here, anything over this 920, 922, 923, anything over there, chart's gonna really have a nice little push. So that's a nice one to be playing on Monday. Mule, couple things here. Chart closed over its 50 EMA. Some volume coming in, not a lot of volume, so it's not a chart that you have to be really aggressive with. It's a little bit of a low float chart, and not really. It's a 79 mil, so it's not really that much of a low float, but it does trade nice if once it gets going. And so let's take a look at the downtrend on this one. The downtrend would mean that you would need the chart to break all the way up here before you have to wait for all that. I think you can play a pullback off of Friday session candle. And so a decent retrace on this one comes down to about 25 bucks, right into the mid zone here. It might find some support from certain areas. Obviously that little peak there, a couple areas here, some resistance areas here. So that $25 zone on MULE could come in to be some decent support in order to take the chart up to the upside. Number 4 on the list is Veev. We did have some volume come into this one into the close on Friday, and so I expect this one to get a continuation move off of it. In order to trade this chart really aggressively, you need the chart to break over this range here, right over the $65 range. Where it breaks over the pivot point is where I can see myself taking the chart. For right now, it's definitely looking like a nice possibility for a play. You can play the pullback off of it, but it may not be as strong. But that pullback zone is about $63.49 if you're interested in playing the pullback. I'd rather play the breakout, as we would have the strength already breaking over the pivot to the upside. COT is number 5 on the list. Charts flagging and breaking the trend to the upside. We have the trend here that the chart is obviously breaking to the upside. And so I think that we could be looking into some continuation on this chart. Ultimately, you'd like the uptrend to be retested, the breakout of the uptrend to be retested, and so $14.70 gives you that support zone on COT in order for the chart to make a bigger move to the upside. When it comes back to 1470, you do need the chart to hold some support there before you take it on the long side. Mdxg is number 6 on the list. The chart had a decent volume into Friday, and I would like to see if we can get continuation off of this one. I'd need a little pullback to retest some of these breakout zones. So right here into this $15.28, $15.29. You see how the chart came over and broke over like this area here, right? So ultimately what you're looking for is a retest of areas like that. And for me, the closer one here would be these two. And so what you're looking for is a retest of some of those areas in order to prove that the move that you're getting is actually a real breakout and not a fake breakout. So that's why you always look for the retest on some of these charts for those moves to continue to the upside. Here's ACIA chart, obviously breaking down, huge downside move on Friday. I think we continue to see a little bit more off of this, but before we do, I would expect the chart to come back and retest some. So I'm looking somewhere closer to about this $39.80 range for the chart to move up into tomorrow's early session, and then look for a short on ACIA, as the chart should get rejected by the lows that it just broke out of. Obviously the chart's been putting up a huge descending wedge for a while, and now that the chart's breaking the descending wedge to the downside, we should expect to see some more. Before it goes down more, it should retest before it breaks. Obviously if the retest fails and the chart actually reclaims the zone, then it becomes a different setup, but for right now it's a short setup. GRVY hitting on the 200 SMA here on the daily chart. Interesting setup for a bounce play. Chart aggressively pulled to the downside. I think we can get probably a little bit more pull on this one to the downside before we get the chart to move to the up. I'm looking somewhere closer down to this down to the low 15s. Why am I looking that low? Is because there is an area on the chart that I'm feeling a little bit more interested in playing with it, and that would come into a bigger move, obviously, into this range where I would feel a little bit more comfortable playing it on the long side. So as we bring in the chart a little bit, you'll see that that area comes into play somewhere closer to about $15.15. So even though the 200 SMA is here on the chart, I feel like we get one more pull on GRVY for a possible bounce play off of that last pivot point way far from where it's at. SHLO is a similar situation where the chart is obviously really aggressive to the downside. I'm trying to play a fib bounce on this one. So if I'm going to do a projected move to the downside, I'm thinking we can come, from the last range that the chart was in, and that bounce would come somewhere closer to about the $8 range. So I'm looking at the $8 range for the chart to have a bounce. There's also a nice gap here that could be filled. So keep an eye on this one for a possible bounce trade here. You can see that the gap comes right into this low $8 range, and SHLO, it could have a nice move off of that range, so keep an eye on it for sure. If the chart was to play the way that we want it to play, if we do get the fill that we want off of the gap, obviously, it could be a really nice swing trade. And so, it could obviously be something to look at for a bit of a hold situation if we do get it to hold. APPN, number 10 on the list. We are looking at a chart that's I think this one's low float, right? APPN, let's just check. 2.2 million float. So obviously it's a low float. 813 crossover over the 50 EMA gives you that setup. We need a breakout on a chart like this. One thing with low floats, when you're playing them, you better be on the right side, because if you're not on the right side, they can hurt you real quick. And so wait for the breakout on this one. Obviously we're looking for a clean breakout over this range here, over $20.72 gives you a clean breakout. Chart needs to hold over that. We did have a nice little fake breakout on Friday, causing the chart to give you a little pullback and a not so nice rejection candle at the double top. So when you see something like that, you're not rushing to go long because you feel like the chart's gonna go through. You make sure that the chart actually goes through before you do take the position. So those are the 10 for this week. There are quite a bit of charts out there that as I was scanning, I found a lot of nice charts out there, a lot of nice crude names out there to be looking at. And so, I'll also tweet out some of the charts, as there's just too many of them to go over in a video. But if you are interested in day trading with me, please check out the website, IcemanTradingAcademy.com. You know, if you're interested in testing out the room, we do have 1 day passes. Have a great week, guys.